Hello, Matthew here with Sound Data Solutions. Today I want to talk about the differences between iFrames and JavaScript and give you some tools for thinking about how you might choose one over the other. This comes up when you're looking to embed content on your site that's hosted on a remote site. So I'll step through a quick demo here that highlights some of those differences. What you'll see are two different embeds. The first one an iframe-based embed and the second one a JavaScript-based embed. And immediately you'll notice that these look different, even though they're showing the same remote content. And the reason for that touches on the key difference between the two, which is the way the content is loaded. With iframes, the content is loaded completely within a container, which means that this remote content being shown on your site is completely isolated from your site and cannot interact. JavaScript, on the other hand, the content is retrieved, brought back to the client browser, and then attached to the page, which means that this JavaScript has full interactivity with your site. Now, from a security perspective, that means iframes are in fact a little more secure because there is that isolation, and JavaScript is less secure because there's the interactivity. With JavaScript, there's the security risk that you have things like cross-site scripting, and the JavaScript has access to things like user cookies, session data, local storage, which means that you have to really trust that developer of the JavaScript to know that they're responsibly developing the script and not doing things like grabbing your user information. From an SEO perspective, JavaScript is a little better than iframes. And the reason for that is the way search engines crawl pages. When a search engine's looking at your page and trying to understand what's the content on this page, an iframe is a little harder to deduce because the content is not actually on the page, but it's on some remote domain. Now, modern crawlers are pretty sophisticated and they can generally understand the content, whether it's in an iframe or JavaScript, but JavaScript does have a bit of an advantage when it comes to SEO. Now, let me touch on some comparisons and give you some rules of thumb for thinking about this. As I mentioned, iframes load in an isolated container, which also means they're somewhat less accessible to crawlers. JavaScript loads on the page, which means there's full interactivity and risk of things like cross-site scripting, access to things like user cookies, and both iframes and JavaScript have an impact on page load, which is really important to consider. When you're thinking about SEO, you want fast page load times, and that's a good user experience as well. People are likely to come to your page, find what they're looking for quickly, and not bounce. Both iframes and JavaScript also have the risk of a reliance on third and fourth party developers. So when you load an iframe or a JavaScript, there are all sorts of libraries that those scripts might use. And if those libraries are not responsibly developed, you could have some issues there as well. Some general rules of thumb to think about: use iframes sparingly, prefer JavaScript over iframes for primary content, so JavaScript for core functionality, and balance your performance with functionality. So you want the embed to do what it's supposed to do and serve a need for your users, but you also want to make sure it's fast and doesn't cause any page load issues that would slow down your site. So those are some considerations for iframes versus JavaScript. I hope this was helpful, and take care.